Ethan Cross had everything money could buy, but very little of what money couldn't. At 32, he was the youngest real estate magnate in his city, worth over $200 million, with houses on both coasts, a high-rise penthouse overlooking the skyline, and a garage filled with cars that cost more than most people's homes. He wore his ego like a suit, and his arrogance like a watch. Expensive, polished, and always visible. It all began one Friday night in the exclusive rooftop lounge of the Valmere Hotel. Ethan was there with three of his longtime business associates, Marco, Vincent, and Derek. All of them were wealthy, ruthless, and accustomed to dangerous bets made under the influence of whiskey and pride. The conversation had begun innocently enough, a discussion about their next investment, but money talk always drifted into boasting. "Everything comes easy to you, Ethan," Marco said with a smirk, swirling his bourbon. "You just snap your fingers and get whatever woman you want. Models, influencers, boring." Ethan shrugged. "If you're jealous, just say it." Vincent leaned forward, grinning. "I've got a challenge for you, something beyond your comfort zone." Ethan raised one eyebrow. "Try me." "Marry someone who doesn't fit your brand," Vincent said, choosing each word with care. "Not a glamorous actress, not a socialite, someone society ignores." Derek chuckled darkly. "Better yet, let's make it interesting. There's that heavy girl who works at the tiny library donation center on 5th Street. Saw her last week when I dropped off some old books. She's huge, like really obese. You want to do something impressive? Marry someone like her." Ethan stiffened, but masked his discomfort with a smirk. "You want me to marry a stranger because you think she's overweight?" "No," Marco said, eyes glinting with mischief. "We want you to do it because you think you can control any situation. Prove that charm and money can buy you anything, including a wife totally out of your world." "And if I do?" Ethan asked, leaning back. "We'll each transfer $5 million to a charity of your choosing. You stay married to her at least a year. Make it real. No cheating with models on the side." Ethan let the idea simmer. It was outrageous. But they were smirking at him as though he couldn't do it. His pride reared up. "You idiots are on," he said coolly. "Get your money ready." They clinked glasses, laughter echoing over the city, but none of them realized how this one cruel bet would unravel everything they thought they understood. Lily Hart. Lily Hart was 28, soft-spoken, warm-eyed, and the farthest thing from the glamorous women Ethan typically pursued. She was a plus-sized woman with round cheeks, dark wavy hair, and a body that had drawn ridicule from strangers most of her life. She worked at a tiny, underfunded, donation-based library space she'd helped create for low-income kids. Her clothes weren't designer, her shoes were worn, but her laugh could make a child feel safe in seconds. She didn't know Ethan Cross existed until he walked into the library 2 days later, dressed in a tailored navy blue suit that probably cost more than the building's annual rent. "Hi," she said, looking up from sorting children's books. "Can I help you?" Ethan smiled like he did during negotiations. "Actually, yes. I wanted to talk to you about an opportunity." She blinked, confused. "Do I know you?" "No, but I'd like you to." Her instincts told her to be cautious, but his presence was disarming and oddly direct. He spent the next hour listening to her talk about the library, the kids, and her dream to expand into a full literacy center one day. Then he made the proposal. Not bluntly, not cruelly, he couched it in financial and social partnership terms. "I know this sounds sudden, but I'd like to sponsor your literacy dreams, and I'd like you to marry me. It would be a mutually beneficial arrangement for 1 year. After that, if either of us wants out, we can divorce amicably." Lily stared at him as if he'd spoken Greek. "You want to marry me?" "Yes." Ethan's tone was shockingly confident. "You'd have full creative authority to build the literacy center. I'll fully fund it. You'd live wherever you want. There's no trap here. Just marriage in name for a year."
"Why?" she said softly, trying not to sound hurt. "Because," he lied, "I need the image of grounded family life for an upcoming investment deal. Investors care about reputation." Lily had been judged her whole life, but no one had ever proposed out of the blue. She didn't know whether to run or laugh, or cry. She spent days thinking, praying, doubting. Her sister Emily called it insanity. Her best friend Sophia said, "It might be the only shot you get at saving the literacy center." Eventually, Lily said yes, but on her own terms. No controlling her wardrobe. No degrading remarks. Respect, at minimum. Ethan agreed. They married in a private civil ceremony 3 weeks later. And the world turned in directions no one expected. The adjustment. At first, Ethan treated Lily like a business project. He bought her a new wardrobe, comfortably stylish, but not flashy. He hired a chef to make her healthy meals, but never commented about her weight. He set up architects to design her literacy center exactly as she described. He gave her a bank card with no spending limit but never persuaded her to use it on herself. And what surprised him most? Lily didn't try to impress him with makeup or clothes. She remained simple, soft-spoken, and independent. She slept in a guest bedroom by choice. They rarely touched. One evening, a week after the wedding, he found her sitting on the balcony of his penthouse, curled up reading a book. "You're not nervous staying here?" he asked, half teasing. Lily looked up with calm brown eyes. "Should I be?" "You're not a villain, Ethan. Just cold." He froze. No one had ever said something so plain to him. She went back to reading. Unexpected warmth. Little by little, Ethan began noticing things about Lily that disarmed him. Once, he saw her braid a little girl's hair outside the literacy center and gift the child a used book about dinosaurs. The child hugged her and said, "I love you, Miss Lily." Lily wiped away tears when she thought no one was watching. Another time, he listened as she explained to a donor why self-esteem mattered more than flashy facilities. She fought fiercely for the kids, not for herself. One morning, Ethan's mother, Marion Cross, dropped by unannounced. A regal woman, Marion had never approved of Ethan's superficial lifestyle. Marion expected a model draped in diamonds. Instead, she met Lily, who was kneeling on the floor fixing a wobbly plant stand. "Oh, hello," Marion said, startled. Lily stood and dusted her hands. "Hi. You must be Ethan's mom. Welcome." Marion braced herself for awkward silence, but ended up talking to Lily for 2 hours over tea. Lily asked about Marion's garden, her late husband, her travels. No judgment. No pretense. That night, Marion called Ethan. "I don't know why you married her," Marion said gently, "but she has more grace than most people I've met. Don't you dare hurt her." For the first time in a long time, Ethan felt ashamed. The shift. Weeks turned into months. Ethan rarely thought about the bet now. It had faded into the background of something that felt increasingly wrong. Lily, without pressure, began changing, not because he demanded it, but because she felt emotionally safe for the first time in years. She took morning walks by the riverside. She joined a dance class for plus-size women that focused on joy over dieting. She met a stylist who helped her find colors and fabrics she loved, not ones meant to hide her body. Her cheeks glowed, her hair shone, and her laughter filled the penthouse like music. She started losing weight slowly, not dramatically, but healthily. And even if she hadn't, she radiated confidence that made her beautiful in ways he'd never imagined. Ethan didn't comment on her body. Instead, he found himself asking about her day, cooking breakfast with her sometimes, or staying up listening to her talk about literacy projects. He'd catch himself looking at her and feel his heart jerk unexpectedly. One night, after she told him a funny story about a kid at the center, he laughed harder than he had in years. She blinked at him, surprised. "What?" he said, embarrassed. "I've just never seen you laugh like that," Lily said softly. "It's nice." His chest tightened strangely. Rumblings of truth. 9 months into the marriage, the literacy center was nearly complete, an impressive 2-story building with reading rooms, mentorship offices, and a children's theater space. Lily had hired volunteers, teachers, and program managers. Hundreds of kids would benefit. One afternoon, while going over donation letters, Lily overheard Ethan on a phone call in his study. He didn't know she was outside the door. "No, I'm not backing out," he said quietly. "But I'm not taking any money until the year is over. And honestly, I'm not sure I even care about the damn bet anymore." Her blood ran cold. Bet. She stepped back from the door like she'd been burned. That night, she didn't join him for dinner. She stayed in her room, tears soaking her pillow. She wasn't naive, but she had let herself believe, just a little, that maybe he cared. The next morning, she confronted him. "Did you marry me on a bet?" Lily asked, voice trembling but fierce. Ethan's face drained of color. "Lily, let me explain. So it's true." She stepped back as if his touch would poison her. "All this time, I was some challenge you accepted to impress your rich friends." "It wasn't like that anymore," he said, desperate. "At first, yes, it was." She flinched. He stopped. "I'm done," she whispered. "I'll stay until the literacy center launches because I owe that to the kids. But after that, I'll leave. And don't you dare give me pity money." He reached for her hand. She recoiled and walked away. For the first time, Ethan felt genuine heartbreak. Consequences. Word traveled faster than he expected. Marion found out and refused to speak to him. His friends mocked him behind his back, claiming victory already. Marco said, "Don't sweat. She'll leave you bitter, and we'll just call it off." Ethan snapped at him, "Shut up." He stopped going to parties. He ignored calls. He put his entire focus into finishing Lily's literacy center ahead of schedule. But Lily avoided him unless necessary. She was polite but distant. She still worked at the center, still smiled around others, but something in her eyes was shuttered. The launch. The grand opening of the Heart Literacy Center was held on a bright Saturday in spring. Hundreds of families came. Journalists covered it. Donors praised Lily's passion and creativity. She stood at the podium in a soft green dress that made her glow. Ethan watched from the side, proud but sick with guilt. When it was his turn to speak, Ethan went off script. "I need to say something," he announced, voice steady but raw. "This center exists because of Lily Hart, her vision, compassion, and strength. I entered this marriage for the wrong reasons. But somewhere along the way, I discovered the best part of my life standing right in front of me." The crowd stared, confused. "I'm not asking for forgiveness today," he said. "I'm just telling the truth. And if she wants a divorce, I won't stop her. But I will spend the rest of my life making this right, even if she never takes me back." Lily's heart hammered, tears fighting to break free, but she walked away before reporters could ask anything. The collapse of the bet. The next day, Ethan met Marco, Vincent, and Derek at the same rooftop lounge. "All of you," he said coldly, "transfer the $5 million each. Not to me. Directly to the literacy center. As promised." Vincent snickered. "You didn't finish the year." Ethan leaned in, voice like ice. "You made the rules. I married her. I stayed. I built everything with her. I didn't cheat. And your little bet blew up because I fell in love with her. You owe that center $15 million. And if we don't? Derek challenged. Ethan dropped a folder on the table. Then you'll face a breach of contract lawsuit, plus defamation and media scrutiny. I recorded the original bet. Their smug smiles vanished. Within a week, the funds were transferred. A chance at truth. Lily planned to move out after the launch. Her bags were packed. But Marion came to see her. My son is a fool, Marion said gently. But not a lost cause. He hasn't slept. He hasn't smiled. He told me the truth, every ugly piece of it. And he told his friends to pay up. I don't want his guilt, Lily said weakly. Then don't take his guilt, Marion replied. Take his change. That night, Ethan knocked on Lily's door. I'll leave tonight if you want, he said softly. But before I go, I need you to know. I'm in love with you. Not out of pity. Not because of the bet. Because you're brave. Because you made me see who I really was and who I want to be. Lily looked at him, tears streaming down her cheeks. I don't trust easily, she whispered. You broke something in me. I know, he said. So I'll earn it back. Even if it takes the rest of my life. She stared at him a long time. Then finally said, don't leave yet. Not tonight. He nodded, not touching her, just quietly grateful. Rebuilding. Healing wasn't instant. Lily didn't forgive in a day, or even a week. But Ethan proved himself step by step. He volunteered at the center twice a week, not for publicity, but because the kids loved building Lego cities with him. He sold 2 of his sports cars and donated the money anonymously to children's nutrition funds. He started therapy to understand his emotional emptiness. He apologized to Lily's sister Emily and best friend Sophia in person. Lily watched him. Cautiously. Gradually, the ice thawed. One evening, 3 months later, they were walking through the center after closing hours. The dusk light filtered through the windows, casting soft gold on the bookshelves. Ethan, she said suddenly. He turned. I'm not leaving. He inhaled sharply. But I need one promise, she said. From now on, no secrets. No bets. No masks. He nodded, voice breaking. I swear. She stepped closer and took his hand. It was the first time she'd touched him since the truth came out. He held his breath, afraid to move. You hurt me, she said softly. But you also changed because of me. And I've changed because of you too. He looked at her, awe and love flooding his face. I want to start again, Lily whispered. Not as a deal. As partners. A broken sob escaped him before he pulled her into his arms, burying his face in her hair. The new beginning. By their first anniversary, there was no bet shadowing them, only love. Lily had lost some weight, but more importantly, she'd gained confidence and joy. Her beauty wasn't something she'd grown into, it had always been there, finally seen. Ethan no longer cared about pride or image. He cared about morning coffee with Lily, laughter-filled dinners, and the kids at the literacy center calling him Mr. E. When their anniversary arrived, Ethan didn't plan a fancy party. Instead, he took Lily to the riverside where she used to walk alone. He spread a picnic blanket, clumsily baked cupcakes with too much frosting, and handed her a ring, not flashy, but meaningful. This time, he said, voice shaking, I'm asking properly. Lily Hart, will you marry me for real? She smiled through tears. I already am. But she extended her hand, and he slipped the ring on with trembling fingers. They kissed, not as strangers bound by a contract, but as 2 imperfect people who had found their way through pain into love. In the distance, the lights of the city glowed. This wasn't the ending anyone had bet on. But it was the one that changed everything.